You'll excuse me, I have a kind of a frog in my throat. Got some water here. Reading from the Sri Caitanya-bhāgavata Antya-khaṇḍa chapter 5. Text 70. One second. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Adyāpiha śrīvāsere caitanya-kṛpāya dvāre saba upasanna haiteche līlāya. By the mercy of Lord Caitanya, everything comes to the door of Śrīvāsa even today. Om Jnana-timirandasya gananjana shalakaya taksur anmulatam yena tasmai sri gurave namaha. Sri Caitanya mano vishnam snapitam yena bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Śrīvāsa Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, greetings from Veda Sudha Ayurvedic Hospital in Kerala. I'm here with Bhakti Vigyan Goswami and some of his disciples. And it's quite impressive how well run it is, all aspects of it. So I'm now back to the treatments after being quarantined for 10 days. And I'll be here for another week. So this is Caitanya-bhāgavata, but you know I like the title Caitanya-charitamrita, the character of the life force in immortality. What it looks like, because immortality is actually the platform of devotion or love. That's the eternal nature of the living entity. It's his nitya dharma. So the Caitanya-bhāgavata and the Caitanya-charitamrita is to show us that world. And one thing that's very beautiful of that world is actually a world of harmony, because there's a center. And as the world becomes divorced from spiritual and religious and spiritual principles, there's less and less harmony because there's no center. Harmony means that there's a center which people are focused on, some truths, some principles, and things have gone so far from that. I remember there's a famous American satirist, something like that. His name is Tom Wolfe. He's probably the best American magazine writer. And he wrote an article mocking my generation. And, different generations had different names. My parents' generation was called the greatest generation because all my relatives, made that sacrifice in World War II to fight the, the Nazi Germany attempted takeover of the world, or whatever that is. And, made sacrifice. After that, there were the baby boomers after the war, people born in my generation. And it was also called the me generation. And this author, Tom Wolfe, he made a very interesting comment in this article about the me generation. They'll never know duty over self. What is a man of character? We see in the Krishna book, in the Bhagavatam, when Krishna's father Vasudeva gave his word to Kamsa that to save his wife, it's not my wife that will kill you, it's her 8th child, I'll hand over all the children, whatever the case is. And it's amazing that even though Kamsa was such a demon, he accepted that people were so truthful. And in the, I guess it's Prabhupada's, it's in the Krishna book, or perhaps in the commentary, it said, there's nothing too difficult for a man of character in the execution of their duty. So it was a society of dharma. It was a society of love. And our great acharyas have written to it to give us some ideal. I often quote Voltaire, that famous statement, I just quoted it, is that, what is it? That which you appreciate comes to you. You become that which you appreciate. So we're really meant to read these scriptures and hear these scriptures and appreciate the beauty of humility, the beauty of sacrifice, the beauty of dharma, and the beauty of love. The beauty of people who think of others before themselves, who rule their lives by principles rather than just whims. So we're very, very fortunate, and we kind of get to see this, and hopefully impresses us. So this is now Lord Caitanya visited the house of Dvaitacharya, and then he went to the house of Śrīvāsa Thakur. And there was this interesting discussion that we discussed in the last class, as if you remember. And it brings up a very interesting point, because Lord Caitanya was wondering how Śrīvāsa would maintain his family. That was his dharma, that was his duty. He never left the house. I can imagine he never left the house, because kirtan started at 6 o'clock at night every day, the nocturnal kirtans, and they went till 6 in the morning. And I guess maybe there was some sleep in there and worship of the deity. And But, you know, it came down to this level of faith. And that level of faith has to be at the core of the way we see and act in the world. And then to the extent that we have faith, we can act on that principle without being disturbed. And the extent that we don't have faith, we have to do one, two things. Either we act for the example of others, or we act because we won't have faith. And I remember that this was a very subtle point, but it was one scholar in Vrindavan. I was talking to him about how we can determine a person's vana. And he said a lot of it has to do with faith. The Brahmin was completely dependent on Krishna because he had that realization. So he's completely dependent on Krishna. And therefore he didn't have to have any employment. He just did his duty. And I mentioned this, it's repeated, but a lot of times to summarize the previous classes, that if you look at the Gita, when it describes a Brahmin's work, he works by cultivating and exhibiting certain qualities. And then he has faith that by doing that, Krishna will maintain and Krishna will protect. Shamo damas tapo saucham shantir arjavam evacha jnanam vijnanam astikam Brahma karma swabhavajam. He works, the work of swabhavajam is by his nature. Shamo, damo, peaceful, tolerant. Shamo, damas, tapo, saucham, austere, clean. Shamo, damas, tapo, saucham, shantir, arjavam. He's peaceful, honest. Shantir Arjava Jnanam Vijnanam Astikam. He cultivates knowledge, he exhibits his realization. Astikam, he's very religious, dutiful, dharmic. And then he said psychologically, the Kshatriya, which is more in the mode of passion, he needs some territory, otherwise he's not secure. He needs to control something. And then the Vaishya, he has to cheat in a sense. And then the laborer, they just need a kind of a master. Otherwise, they don't have faith. They don't have faith. Of course, Vaishnava is also a very special thing. So it really is. It's a struggle. I don't know. Maybe this is one of my COVID realizations. Is kind of COVID fatigue. I was looking at that thing. You know, no COVID in India at all. Zero. Now, you know, something's spreading, and then, you know. Freedom, restriction. You get tired. And actually, the whole material world is supposed to give you fatigue of trying to be the enjoyer and controller. As a child on the ocean building a sand castle, when the ocean keeps on taking it away and building it up. And what does it say in the Gita? How do we become detached? Bhutva, praliyate, destroyed again and again and again and again. So I had an interesting thing. I got a very mild case of COVID, but enough, well, obviously in a place like this, they're going to quarantine you. And then I had problems with my computer. So that wasn't working, and my writing was compromised, and as things were being kind of stripped away, I just saw the beauty of it. I just saw the beauty of it, the beauty of losing your control so you can see that actually Krishna's controlling. And different ashrams do it in different way. The sannyasi was supposed to do it by traveling so that he could not create an environment of illusory control. You know, my house, my place, my things, you know, it just, he's moving. So you take that away, and then what do you see? That it was actually God that was actually doing everything anyway. It's just you were in a particular situation where you did not have the realization to see that, and therefore you needed to connect yourself with different things that you thought that you were actually maintaining and you were controlling. But it's a kind of beauty to actually see that. And then my realization is we have so many material protective agents in the modern world that we're becoming increasingly covered from actually seeing that. You know, and different ashrams, I think, and things are just so screwy and topsy-turvy, et cetera. But a traditional thing, grihasta by responsibility and charity. You know, by acting responsible and rather than whimsically, and giving charity, you know, and you start to see how it's God is controlling everything. But anyway, when you see a society like that, and anyway, I'm repeating that too many times. But the mercy of Lord Caitanya, everything comes to the door of Śrīvāsa even today. It comes. He is protected. You know, and Krishna puts you in circumstances where you are forced to see that. You know, yeah, even the quarantine. I mean, they brought me meals, but I couldn't like walk to the store and get what I wanted, or, you know, in just different ways. I couldn't leave they put me in a forest cabin so I can have a porch. But yeah. So it's being appreciated, this level of faith, this level of faith. And, you know, this is Vrindavan Das Thakur, and he really appreciates these devotees because those are his own ideals. And now he's looking back at his mother's, I think the sister of Śrīvāsa Thakur's wife. I think his mother's Narayani, and then Śrīvāsa Thakur's wife's Malini. So he's looking at a generation earlier. And I guess he's pretty appreciative of what he's seeing of these associates of Lord Caitanya. How can I describe the magnanimous characteristics of Śrīvāsa? The three worlds became purified simply by remembering him. Remembering. Again, remembering means appreciating, and appreciating means that you desire the qualities that you see, and therefore that desire for those qualities is the beginning of those qualities. If you like an honest man, it helps you to be honest. And if you like a dishonest man, it'll make you dishonest. And therefore, in a proper society, the role of exemplars was so important. It's just like the sannyas ashram, what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be exemplars of renunciation to help the society move in that direction, rather than move in the direction of simply fruitive activities, which is not the ultimate objective of Vaishnavas. Okay, it's not the ultimate objective of Vaishnavas. In the second verse of the Bhagavatam, it says, Dharma projito kaitavo tra paramo namatsaranam satam. This is namatsaram. No hate. It also means no hate. It also means how is it's a heavy word, but it's broadened to mean that the world, envy, getting more icha dvesha samutena. That's how we come to the world. We have this desire for superiority, and it's manifest in fruitive activities and the desire for superiority, and with it comes a certain hate, a certain envy. So these devotees that Śrīvāsa Thakur, who are, well, this is about the 6 Goswamis, but Dhira, Jana Priyo, Dhira Jana Priyo, Priyakaro, Namatsaro, Pujitao. Again, these people don't have hate. They're not coveting anything in this world. And because they have something higher, they understand that happiness is consciousness, happiness is love. And we value the things we have and even can pursue material things if it's part of God's plan to bring us to that higher platform by pacifying the attached mind, because we're dealing with the attached mind. We're dealing with the attached mind, and if we artificially renounce our attachments, we think of them more. And if we indulge in them without restriction, we become more absorbed in them. So it is very practical how to deal with attachments, how to satisfy attachments. But the goal is to eventually develop love for Krishna in such a profound way that Vishaya Vinivartante Niraharasya Dehana Raso Rajam Raso Pyasya, that we develop a higher taste. Really develop a higher taste. I have one friend in sannyasi, sannyasi Narayan Maharaj, many years ago, and I knew him as someone who is basically, I don't know how to put it, but passionate. I would say passionate. But somehow or other, he took to Krishna consciousness and the holy name in such a deep way. Such a deep way he took to it, chanting the holy name a lakh, I think probably by now 1.5 lakhs, just preaching all the time. And I hadn't seen him for a while, and I was on Govardhan Prikram. And when I was on Govardhan Prikram, I ran into him. And, so I walked with him a little bit on Govardhan Prikram, and I said I would come in. Yeah, okay, bring that. Okay, just show you my medicine is coming. That's it? Okay. Well, this one looks strange. So I met him, and he he lives in Godramdweep, which is the island of Kirtan. And he lives behind Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house. So when I was in Mayapur, I was going to go on a Ekadasi to see him. And then I got a note that he had a heart attack. And, he was on the way to the hospital and halfway to Calcutta, etc. And they wanted to do something, some stents or something, but somehow we felt it was too invasive. I'm not, that, you should take care of your health, but that's another question. I don't want to, but so I wrote him from here. Well, if you're not going to do that, do you want to maybe go on a health retreat? I'll ask the doctors here if there's something that they can do for you. And he was interested. Then I got sick, so I didn't. Then I contacted him, and he said, "Are you interested?" He said, "Mildly." He's just said it just, and the conviction that he said it in just a message. There's just too much nectar here. There's just too much nectar here. And I know him, and I really feel that he's experiencing that. And that's inspiring, and that's the platform that, we have to come to. Let's see, I'll tell you what he wrote me. So I wrote him when I arrived. I came down with a COVID mild case, but was quarantined. First class, are you still interested? Are you still interested in coming? Mildly only, most reluctant to leave Gordam where so much mercy flows. We should all want. And that's really it's right there in the holy name. It's right there in devotional service. The thing that actually will really satisfy us most. And that's why we're in Krishna consciousness, because Prabhupada somehow convinced us of that. And he convinced us of that by a drop of an experience of that. And that's what faith is, and that's what keeps you going. And Krishna knows that we so easily settle. We so easily settle into so many small illusions, big illusions, small illusions, that give us faith that there's some other happiness. I don't want to be too discouraging, but just watching the world, I just kept on thinking of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's statement in Urundaya Kirtan. This temporary material world is full of suffering. Take shelter of the holy name of Krishna as your only business. Satya Sevalena Caitanya Śrīvāsa Yanra Gari Caitanya Shakala Balas. Śrīvāsa truly served Lord Caitanya, for Lord Caitanya enacted pastimes in his house. It's a wonderful thing to be in the consciousness of opening your house to the Vaishnavas. I see wherever that's done, then somehow or other, the Vaishnavas come. And in fact, there's commentary on a very interesting verse in the Bhagavatam where it says, Dharmasya yapavargasya nartata yopakopade, that that Dharma leads to liberation. That's the purpose. It's not sense gratification. It's not economic. It's for liberation. Dharmasya yapavargasya. Apavarga is counteract the everything we're going through in the in this material world. But the commentary that I read that was so interesting says, how does Dharma lead to liberation? Because if you're dharmic, you'll serve sadhus. Your house will be open for guests. In the Sanskrit word for guest is adyāpiha. Adyāpiha. And sometimes it's called adyāpiha Bhagavan. The guest is God. And I know this couple, I know in Mayapur, but I met in Vrindavan. You know, they were telling me they walked through the Middle East without money. And when they got to the houses of people in Iran and Turkey, the culture was that Allah has come. Adyāpiha Bhagavan. So Lord Caitanya enacted his pastimes in his house. God came to his house. He opened his house to the Vaishnavas, and then God came to his house. In Jaiva Dharma, there's a very interesting story where, if we know the story of the novel by Bhaktivinoda Thakur of people coming to Krishna consciousness the generation after Lord Caitanya. And they would come to this kunj in Godrundweep. And it was very brilliant construction of this novel because according to the type of person who came and how he was convinced about Krishna consciousness and how his doubts were removed, we learn another tattva of Krishna consciousness. So that the first person that came was a Mayavadi. Sannyas Thakur. And his questions to the guru cleared up this personal philosophy. So different, and then there was a Brahmin that came and had those doubts, and then there was a materialist that came, and then and gradually the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness explained, and then one logician and his uncle, I forgot the names, they come and they become serious about Krishna consciousness, and then the enlightenment for them, because they're not just being convinced to become a devotee, but it shows their life reaching perfection. So in the dialogue, Bhaktivinoda Thakur brilliantly includes a summary of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Ujjvala Nilamani. But one of the stories was about a very greedy, materialistic householder in, I forgot the village, but it's actually Prabhupada's ancestral line. And everyone in that village was Vaishnavas, so they would open their houses to guests and other Vaishnavas, and they were always serving them, and they were in that open mood. But they were very miserly. They didn't want to spend the money. To make a long story short, when they left on some kind of pilgrimage, their children locked them out of the house and told them never to come back, and stole everything they had. But the point was, and this was the point, that when the parents are generous and open to the Vaishnavas and guest and serve the Vaishnavas, that consciousness becomes inculcated in their children. And because these people were the opposite, the children became miserly. So here it's just, he truly served Lord Caitanya, and Lord Caitanya enacted his pastimes in his house. In this way, by the desire of Śrīvāsa, Lord Gauranga happily stayed in the house of Śrīvāsa for a few days. That was his consciousness. You know, it's a very nice culture in Indian families. I've seen that mood of, its culture is inculcated in traditions, and you watch it and you grow up with it. And you see it, it becomes part of your life. So Indians grew up in their houses, and they saw the culture was adyāpiha Bhagavan. And what is it? This is not my house, this is your house. They always say that, but they also feel it. They move out of their bedroom, they move out of their room. And the children see this. And I was thinking of the Ravals, my doctors, more than my doctors. They gave their hall for my Vyas Puja. They have a restaurant. I cooked half the feast. And their oldest son opened up a restaurant. Come in.
2 medicines.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Your son opened up a restaurant, very wonderful restaurant. I sent the biggest facade critic, I'll joke, but Satyaraj, he wrote me it was fabulous. And whenever I go there, even if I come with people, he doesn't, he doesn't want to accept any payment. Because he saw his parents and how generous they were with guests. It becomes inculcated. So what Pandit Thakur and his family members always floated in an ocean of bliss as they constantly saw the Lord. Seeing the Lord is not a material phenomena. Premanjana charita bhakti velochanena santas sandaiva hidayeshu velo. The eyes of love. Because again, seeing is not just senses. It's attitude, it's understanding, it's attention, It's attitude, it's attention, it's so many things, it's understanding. And then we mentioned the most important thing, to see a person, it requires an aspect of love, because a person has to give themselves to you, otherwise you can't see a person. A person is just more than their form. A person is their heart. And that heart is never seen unless it is given. That's why Lord Caitanya's, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's brother-in-law chastised him. he said, although Lord Caitanya is standing before you, you cannot see him because you think of yourself as a separate and independent Lord. But these family members, they had love and they were seeing the Lord. And seeing the Lord means feeling the Lord, because seeing something who you have a relationship with means feeling that love. And so then now he's going to go to someone else in a little distance. So another famous devotee, after staying a few days at Śrīvāsa's house, the Lord went to Raghuva's house in Panihati. While Sri Raghava Pandit was engaged in the worship of Krishna, Sri Gaur Sundar came there before him. Prananath Dekyasi Raghava Pandit Dandavat Hoya Padila Pritivita. When Raghava Pandit saw the Lord of his life, he fell to the ground and offered obeisances. So this is how real love is described. Prananath. Prana means your life. Prana is the life heirs. Matchita, matkata, prana. How is a devotee described in the Gita? Matchita, his consciousness. Matkata, his goal. Matchita, matkata, prana, his life. And in the commentary, it describes that food is not the life of a devotee. Love is the life of a devotee. That's his prana. That's how he lives. So this was how Raghava found about Lord Caitanya. This was how he lived. And Dandavat, and he fell to the ground and he offered obeisances. Because whenever there's love, it has to be expressed in actions of love, which enhance the emotion of love. And these were just involuntary. They were so powerful. He just fell to the ground, because Dandavat means like a rod. A stick can be bent. It's like a rod. So it's like crashing to the ground like this way. Raghava Pandit cried in ecstasy, and he firmly grabbed the Lord's lotus feet, which are cherished by Ram, the goddess of fortune. This is Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is what we have to aspire for in our lives. This is our goal. Then we can move towards that goal in very, very practical ways. But it's there for us for the asking. It's only it's just a question of our desire. And what you want in devotional service, you get, because what you want is the want, is that desire. And the Lord then embraced Raghava Pandit and soaked his bodies with tears of ecstatic love. Now, this image that we have of God as the supreme enjoyer, it's not a selfish position. It's his ontological position. But he's enjoying the love of his devotees. And if that's the highest pleasure, he has to love his devotees, because we enjoy love from those whom we love. So when he's enjoying the love of his devotees, it's because he loves them so much. And therefore we see his reciprocation. he's so moved that his whole body is soaked with tears that he's seeing his devotee. Raghava's body was filled with such ecstasy that he did not know what he should do. It's not an intellectual exercise. He's just overcome with emotion. He's not thinking, he's just feeling. And what to do? When the Lord of Vaikuntha, Raghavera Bhakti Deki Shri Vaikuntanath, Raghavera Kadalena Shubha Drishnapata. When the Lord of Vaikuntha saw Raghava's display of devotion, he glanced mercifully on Raghava. The Lord said, after coming to Raghava's house and seeing Raghava, I have forgotten all my troubles. The word for troubles, I think, here is pasadila. I think it means, sabaduka. Yeah. Anyway, my troubles. The fatigue, walking to different places. Soon it's relieved. As soon as he sees his devotee, and not just seeing, but feels that devotee, and seeing the devotee is seeing the devotee's devotion. I remember the first time I saw Prabhupada in 1971 in JFK Airport, when there was no TSA and the devotees could go right up practically to the plane and do kirtan. And Prabhupada came down from another floor and, he moved. His hand waved. So it was not just seeing a physical action. It was seeing an embodiment of emotion. I mean, we all have the ability to read minds. That means that we see by the actions what a person is thinking. We all have that ability to some degree, otherwise we can't function. And people who don't have that ability, they have different challenges. Someone, it could be autism or something like that. So we have that ability. And he's seeing Raghava, but what's he seeing? He's seeing devotion. And devotion for himself. And he's seeing selflessness. Gangaya Majana Koila se Santosh Hoy se Shuka Pailana Raghava. I have obtained the same satisfaction at Raghava's house as one gets by taking bath in the Ganga. Ebaro Karuna Koro Vaishnava Thakur. It says, by bathing in the Ganga many, many times, one becomes purified, but not even by immersing, not by bathing, just by seeing the pure devotee once. Just by seeing that manifestation of devotion and knowing that there's actually, that there's a real world of ecstasy. There's a real world of devotion. And these people want to give it to us. But they're there in the world to show us that it exists, that there's a higher reality than what we are seeing and going through now, as we suffer to the extent that we want to enjoy and control the world. It's not easy. We have our attachments and they're connected to Krishna consciousness, and there's so many things. There's that statement by this self-realized Holocaust victim. I think her name is Itty Hellison. She's a bit of a mystic, and she made the statement that if you have an inner life, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. The Lord smiled and said, listen, Raghava Pandit, go and quickly cook for Krishna. Sri Raghava was greatly pleased to receive the Lord's order, and he became absorbed in the mellows of ecstasy as he went to cook. This is the cowherd boys, when they came to the Brahmins asking for some food for Krishna, they said, Badram te, all auspiciousness for you, because we are giving you service. We're giving you the jewel of service. We're giving you the jewel of something that can bring out the innermost goodness and ecstasy within your hearts. Following the dictates of his heart, that Brahmin cooked unlimited varieties of food. So his love now was expressed in so many different fragrances and tastes and textures and color. Maybe even sound if there was a good crunch in the meal. Mahaprabhu then came with Nityananda and other associates to eat. Gaur Chandra, the husband of Lakshmi, lavishly praised each of the vegetable preparations as he ate. You know, in Bengal, the variety of preparations that the Lord said, how wonderful is Raghava's cooking. I've never eaten shak like this before. Lord Caitanya, spinach is known as Gauriya. It's very dear to Lord Caitanya. Raghava knew that the Lord was fond of shak, so he cooked various kinds of shak. After joyfully finishing his meal, the Lord washed his hands and mouth and sat down. And then as soon as Gadadhar heard it, then he came. And then there's a description of that associate. Okay. Jamunajaya usually can say something you appreciated, and then other people will.
Hare Krishna Raj, thank you for class. So many things. I have like 2 pages full of notes today. There's so many things I appreciated, but I really, the one I think looking for the one I really loved here, really the idea that when you said that losing your control to see that Krishna is controlling. And I really feel that, yeah, this last 2 years of COVID have really taught me that, losing my control to see that Krishna is in control all along.
Right. Everyone lost control. Even the biggest controllers were losing control. Yeah.
Yes.
And that was Krishna's mercy to create, to give people an opportunity for dependence and humility. It's a hard lesson.
Yep.
Thank you. Anybody else like share any reflection or even just like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Yeah, I like being reminded of your definition of why Krishna is the supreme enjoyer, because, he enjoys because he loves, so.
Can't enjoy without loving. Yeah. Thank you.
No question.
What?
Question.
I'm in a health retreat now. I don't think I can.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Oh, Rani, how do you know?
Rani.
Yes. Nice to see you.
Haribol, Hare Krishna. I love that part where you, Hare Krishna Maharaj. Happy to see you well.
No,
I love that part where you said devotees don't need food. Essential is not food is not essential for them, but love is essential for them, for devotee.
Yes, that's our life. That's our food. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice
Thank you,
to
Hare
see
Krishna.
you. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, Haribo. Haribo. Okay, good. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Remember, I think call on Tuesday. That's better even, okay?
Okay.
Just coordinate it because they're giving me different schedules now, okay?
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, this is Brajarade.
Brajarade, Haribo. I was just thinking of all the nice times during COVID I got to come to your house.
Yes.
That was our only outing. Okay. I was also thinking you because I'm in South India now, and your family's, I guess, pretty much from there.
Yeah.
Same kind of food in Kerala in one sense. Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Narmasaki. Haribo. Thank God you're better, Guru Maharaj.
Oh no, it was a mild flu. That was it. It was great.
Yeah.
I'm
Thank
fine.
you for
Okay.
Thank you for the wonderful class. Thank you so much.
Someone wrote, did you receive my voicemail? Laja. Who is Laja? L-A-J-J-A. Who is that?
That's Laja Sheila, Lucy.
Yes, Laja Sheila.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You sent me a voicemail, huh?
Well, I know that you're having computer and phone problems. So
yeah, I did have a computer problem. Can you do me a favor? Send me an email, okay?
Of course.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Lucy, yes. Thank you. Okay. Okay, anybody else like to say hello?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, Tota Gopinath here.
And Kishori Radha.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Good to hear from you. Someone else?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Yasama. Thank you very much for the class.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll talk on Tuesday and we'll make a plan.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Haribo.
Haribo.
Anybody else?
Lal Govinda.
Hey, Lal.
Great class. Very cool.
Wow. Always nice to see your deities and your dog. Okay, anybody else? Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, it's Amala.
Amala, maybe you're at home? Let's talk in about a half hour or 45 minutes, okay?
Okay. You want me to call you on WhatsApp?
Yeah, if I'm not back from dinner, then just call again. We'll try about 8 o'clock. Another half hour, okay?
Half hour? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Anybody else want to say hello?
Hey, well, Gumaraj.
Right.
Obviously.
Hare Krishna.
Karuna's over here too.
What a great background. Wow.
It's not virtual, it's real.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's great because it's real and it looks virtual.
Anyway, we're very excited to see you very soon.
Okay, great. Okay. You keeping health?
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Feeling good.
Okay. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, this is Hema Gauri.
Hema Gauri, nice to hear from you. Great.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, one or two more people?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Okay, Malati, okay, very good. A few others?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Hemalata Radha.
Hemalata Radha, Hare Krishna. Okay, good.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thanks so much.
Okay, very nice. Okay. Okay, somebody else? Okay.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. This is Sri Gandharvika.
Sri Gandharvika, nice to hear from you. Good.
Likewise.
Good.
I just wanted to say that I'm also happy that your health condition was extremely mild. So happy for you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay, great. Haribo. Okay, I'm just going to look at all the names so I'll see everybody that's there. So I know everybody's there. And I better say hello, but I got it that everybody's there. Okay, I'm going to head for dinner because the doctor told me I wasn't taking dinner. He told me I have to. So I'm going to go. Okay, bunch of kopa turbia star, kopa sindhu, chapati tinam bhavane.